Today what I want to speak about is how you can use your universal forwarder to send traffic to your indexes using a SSL certificate, right? So the reason for making this video is I was going through a PS engagement where we had to work on a task related to SSL certificate, and I came across this Splunk docs, and then it was not really clear on how to encrypt traffic between your SSL, your universal forwarders and your indexes, especially if you are using multiple indexes, right? So what I have today here is I have two indexes, right, and I have a universal forwarder, right? So what I can do is I have the Splunk installer here. So I'm going to install Splunk now. Right, so start. So what I want to show you is I'm going to do it from scratch, right? So I am not really using my Ansible script because I wanted to show you how easy it is to set these things up, right? I could have done it with my Ansible. Right, so we have the the all-in-one installed, right? So let's do this. So okay, so that is done, right? So the first thing that we have to do is we have to first create the CA, right? So in your environment, if you have a CA, you don't have to do the steps, right? If you don't have a CA, you can follow these few steps here. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder called my search. So I'm going to do it on indexer 1, right? So I'm just going to do this on one indexer, right? So let's do this on indexer 1, right? So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to that folder, right? So folder is empty. So first thing we have to do is we are going to generate a CA's private certificate, right? So this is for the CA, right? I'm going to do a password, right? Okay, so certificate is done, right? And now next thing we have to do is I'm going to create a CSR. This is for the CA, right? What I'm doing, right? So let me say INKL whatever, right? So I have the CSR, right? So once I have the CSR, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a PEM file for the CA, right? So this is so we have 3 files here: the CSR, CA certificate, and CA PEM. So this is the most important certificate that we need to work with, right? The CA certificate, right? So that part is done. So next thing that we have to do is we are going to generate the private certificate for this specific server, right? So I'm going to run this command again, right? going to put in the password. Right, so we have the private file here. Next thing we have to do is we generate the CSR for this server. Right, don't get it confused. Earlier what we did was for the CA, now we are doing for this server. Right, right, so we do whatever. Right, doesn't matter. We have the CSR. Right, CA certificate. Okay, so we have the server certificate CSR. Right, so next we are going to create the server certificate PEM. So the PEM, we are going to take server certificate CA, CSR, CA certificate PEM, CA certificate key, and then we are going to out this. Right, so I'm going to put in the password. Right, done. So actually all our certificates are done. Right, so we have the server certificate PEM and CA certificate PEM. Now this is the interesting part where we have to bring all these certificates together. Right, so now I'm going to do a cat for first of all I'm going to cat this file, then the server certificate private key, CA certificate PEM to a new certificate. Right, so now I have a certificate called Splunk server certificate.pem. Right, so that is done. Now next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to enable listening on this port, on port 997. Right, standard. It's going to ask me for my admin and password. Right, listening on port 997. Alright, so that part is done. Now we are going to make sure that all our steps was correct till now. Right, so I'm going to do a CMD open SSL Splunk server accept on port 997 using this certificate. Right, we are supposed to get I'm putting the password, we are supposed to get accept. If everything was correct, we will get the return value as accept. Right, so then we know that we have done everything. Right, so next thing what we have to do is we have to create the output the inputs file. Right, so I'm going to go to system local, right, so this is the password that I used for when I created the Splunk certificate. Right, so that I have done. So I need to create an entry on the server conf. Right, so this server conf entry should tell me where the root certificate is. Right, so my root certificate is here. Let me copy in the value. Root certificate in. Right, so this is the only two values that we need to put on. Right, so we have created the two files. Now this is where we are going to do something different from the document. Right, so what we are going to do here is we are going to copy everything from here. We are going to copy everything from here to the second indexer, and then we are going to do the same for the universal forwarder. Right, and I'll explain why we are doing that now. So let me copy this. Right, so I'm doing that. Right, so we have those things. I'm just going to download these files to my local machine. Download. And download. So let's wait for it. One file is downloaded. So yeah, so what I'm trying to do here is we don't have to run the same settings on, let's say you have 100 different servers. We just have to generate the Splunk certificate.pem and certificate.key, and then we just send it to the other servers, right? We don't have to generate different certificates for different servers. Okay, so anyway, right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload these files here, upload EC2, right, and I'm going to upload these files here as well, right? Shall upload EC2, right? So this is my indexer 2, right? So first thing what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to create the folder where I'm going to keep these files, right? So folder is created, move star.pem to the folders, right? So that thing is there. Inside that etc auth my certificate, right? Now what I'm going to do is ad of Splunk etc system local, right? I'm going to go to server conf, and then I'm simply going to tell this server that my root certificate is in that location, alright, the same CA certificate that we copied from indexer 1, right? So I have that. Now I'm going to create the inputs file, inputs conf, right? I'm going to create that, and then I'm going to put in this, right? Splunk TCP SSL 9997. This is my Splunk server certificate. Remember, I got this from the other server. I didn't generate it here, right? And then I'm going to put my password, right? Sorted. That's it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to enable listen on this server as well, on indexer 2 on port 9997, right? Listening, right? And then just going to restart this, right? Restart. I'm not sure if I restarted it or not. Okay. Right, server is restarted. Cat inputs. The SSL password is encrypted. That means the file is read correctly, right? The server is waiting for restart. So in the meantime, we are going to our universal folder, right? So in our universal folder, we already have the CA certificate, right? Again, same story. We are not going to create anything here, right? We are just going to create we're just going to create the we're just going to wire these things up so that it will just start reading from these files without creating anything. All right. Okay, so the server started, right? Fine. So where are we, right? Move star.pem to that folder, right? Splunk, right? So that is done. Now cd of Splunk folder etc system local, right? So now what we are going to do is we are going to create the outputs file, right? So the outputs file should be like this, outputs.conf, right? Only thing is SSL password, the password that we use for generating the private certificate, I mean the server certificate on the indexer 1, the 2 indexers IP, right, and the absolute path to where our Splunk server certificate is sitting, right? Now you can use verify domain and things like that here. If you created your domain properly on your indexer 1, you can use it here. Right now for my lab setup I haven't done it. There's a lot of different options that you can do, right? I'm just sticking to the basic options here, right? Okay, so that is done, and then we are going to add this root CA path to the server conf, right? That's it, really. So let us see if we can telnet to the box, right? Before I restart, telnet. So this is one of these boxes. This is indexer 1. So indexer 1 is listening, right? And then let's break this, and then this one, both listening, right? Okay, so now we are restarting the universal folder, right? Let's see what is happening. Splunk. So we can see whether setting have taken or not, right? Right, connected. So we can see 209 is connected and 102 is connected. That's all it is, right? So now let us browse to our Splunk server, right? And then let us run a search and see if you are receiving traffic or not, right? So now we have two hosts. We are receiving traffic from our universal folder, right? So I'm going to run this search, and then it should give me a result telling connection type cooked SSL. That means the traffic coming from this box, the universal folder 131.214, is encrypted, right? So why did I do this? The reason is, now you have a configuration that you can actually send to all your universal folders. Let's say you have 10,000 universal folders. You just have to pack these things up onto an app, put in your server certificates, right? Splunk etc auth. I'll show you what I'm saying. My set, right? So you just pack all these things together, right? Put them in a folder, right? And then you push it through your deployment server to all, let's say 10,000 universal forwarders. Everyone will start using the same CA certificate and encrypt the traffic and send to Splunk, right? So this is the so if you have seen Splunk Cloud, right, so you can check the Splunk Cloud's universal forwarder app. So they are using the same principle. They have the Splunk CA certificate and Splunk certificate. They are packaging everything together. You can put it on your deployment server and you can send it wherever, right? So you don't have to run the same setup on every single server, right? You can send the same certificate throughout your environment, right? So so what I'm saying is, we have ran the we generated the CA certificates, we generated the server certificates on only one server, right? We are using the same thing for both indexes, and also we are using the same thing for the universal forwarder, right? So just one certificate being used across your fleet. That way you just simplify everything. You don't have to keep running the same thing over and over again. You just pack everything up to one app, name it like outputs app, push it through deployment server, and everyone will start sending universal forwarder. And that's it. You can reach out to me if you have any doubts, and if I can try to help you guys out if you run into any issues. But follow the commands, follow the principle, and you should be good to go. Thanks guys. I'll be back with another topic next week.